Welcome to Happy Hour Conversations podcast, where we normalize hard, emotional, and raw conversations, such as grief, infertility, mental health, menopause, and all other sister-friend talks, sprinkled with a lot of laughter for the soul. We encourage our community to focus on areas of growth, becoming a better version of self each day, and exercising in faith over fear. As we redefine ourselves as life shifts and we rearrange the puzzle pieces. I am your girl, Tamekia R. Moon, and in this first season, we are focusing on grief, a journey that we will experience but rarely discuss and normalize our feelings. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on IG at Happy Hour Conversations Podcast. Before we jump into the episode, let me share this week's affirmation. I forgive myself and I forgive you. I am releasing so I can move forward in life in a healthy way. Forgiveness is simply about me being able to reclaim my power, release my pain, grow, and being at peace. I win. Let's jump into the episode. I am Tamekia. Thank you for joining Happy Hour Conversations.
I'm Wende Abernathy-Perkins. I don't know why I said my last name, but hey.
All right, we are going to jump right into Happy Hour Conversations where we just tackle those hard conversations and we laugh at the same time because laughter is part of the journey and it's healing medicine. So, Wende, today we are talking about becoming the matriarch of your family.
Facts.
Tell me what matriarch means to you, and then give me some words that describe matriarch.
Wow. So what matriarch means to me now is someone who is cultivating love within their family, giving guidance with the intent to love and not to hurt. With the intent knowing that what they're saying and doing is not for the now, it's for generations to come. Okay? So when I think of that person, I always think female, right? And I always think older.
Okay.
So words is patient.
Give me 1 second, because I meant to have paper.
No
but I want to
worries.
type these words down. You said patience?
Okay. Patience. Giving.
Okay.
A spiritual warrior.
Okay.
And a sense of forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Yeah, I spelled that wrong. Forgiveness, right?
Yes.
All right. So when growing up for me, growing up, what I seen as the matriarch, you kind of hit some points, right? The person that was an older person. So my grandma, which was my mom's mom, and then my grandmother, my granny, which was my dad's mom, right?
Yeah.
They were the overseers of the family. The house that you went to on the holidays, they were the people that managed the family unit, right? And in a nutshell, they were grandma, they were granny. So they were the matriarchs of the family. But nobody never really said how they became the matriarch other than being grandma and granny, right? They took on those roles. So it was a natural, a natural title, right?
A progression of that.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay. So this is what I seen, right? And so there were some other things like this, the old school lessons, family unit, wisdom. But here's the one thing that for sure they always had, and that was the love. The greatest gift of all, right, is the love.
So I never felt that.
Okay, you never felt that. Okay.
As a receiver of seeing my matriarch.
Okay. Can you give us what you seen as a teenager growing up as a matriarch?
When I saw her, I didn't see like the, come here, baby. put your head on mama's breast. Nana gotcha. I didn't see that. And maybe her love was different.
Okay.
Because my grandmother was light-skinned, red hair, grew up in the South, and she knows what slavery looks like. She knows what things look like that. So her love was more, I guess her love was telling us how to grow spiritually and how to have found financial stability based off our skin color. So I didn't feel any warm hugs, cookies. I didn't feel that. I felt that, Wendy, you're already a big girl and you're brown. Don't get anybody darker than you, because you're going to mess up the blood, chick. And you're not going to have anything. So I didn't have that. That's what you're talking about is what I would have loved to have.
Okay.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
But my cousins that are biracial, they got that.
And now that you're talking, everything is really about experience. And we are actually going to go, we're going to sidetrack a little bit because you made me think of something. And then I'm going to bring you back and I'm just going to have you tell, actually just do it now. Can you tell the audience who you are, what you do, and just a little bit about yourself? Then we're going to come back to this part.
Well, again, I'm Wendy. I didn't told you all my last names. But what I do is I'm a professional coach. I created my own company called King Learning Solutions. And I coach leaders on how to be better leaders in startup companies. I really focus on cultivating cultures, understanding what that culture is based off of behaviors. Okay. So a cognitive behavioral therapy focus I do with these small startup companies. So I do that. And I do a lot of ID work on the side. So a lot of what I do is on the foundation of social work and a lot of foundation of love, right? So that's what I do, but who I am is someone who speaks in truth and love. And I use that throughout my whole life. So that is what the gift that God has given me. So I purposefully move in that, and my career just happens to follow that gift. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing who you are, what you do. I reached out to you. We were at a particular event. You had made a comment about being the matriarch, right? And how you were fighting it. And I was sitting back like, she understands me. Yes. I'm going to reach out to her so we can have a conversation. And then it was just like, I'm going to invite her to the podcast because we need to talk about this. But then when we started talking, I learned that we were talking about the same thing and experiencing the same thing, but very different stories, because when you think about the matriarch, at least in my experience, and probably how most people will think of it, it's because somebody has passed on, right? I agree. Share your story. Can you share your story? Because it's very different than what I thought it was when I was reaching out to you. Yeah, so real talk, like I mentioned earlier, my maternal grandmother, so she passed away in October of, we're in 2023, October of 2022. So 2021. So she passed away. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the good thing that the daughters do. But mind you, I am the second oldest. It's three
of us. Okay. And I'm the second oldest. So, but I did bring my parents to live near me. Okay. So that was an intentional thing. So no knock on my sisters because they rock. But my mom was like, okay, great. I need all three of you guys to do something. And I was like, okay, great. I'm going to do the least. Right. Because she doesn't know me. This woman doesn't know me at all. I'm writing the obituary. I'm doing all these things. And then I find myself at the funeral working with my aunt who really took care of my grandmother. She didn't leave her side. My grandmother did not die in a nursing home or anything. She died in her own bed due to the support and the love of my aunt and my cousins. So she had this beautiful way of leaving the earth, but I'm there walking as if I have this connection that they have, which was very weird. And then I realized, like, oh, her parents were slaves and they were allowed to get married. Like, I'm doing all this research about a woman I don't know, but I'm there, standing at the casket, helping along, and I'm like, why am I here? And my mom is now the matriarch. She's the oldest daughter. And she's like telling me what to do. And I'm like, you do it, Suge. She's like, you're a good girl.
You got it.
You got it. So then, you know, a year later, a bunch of our family members passed due to unforeseen circumstances. And I'm there at each one of these funerals. And I'm thinking, and I'm talking to my aunt, because she's right there. And I'm like, why don't we do a GoFundMe for this person? And then I realized, like, why am I doing this? And then my uncle says to me, who's the oldest male, well, you're the matriarch now. Friend, no, I'm not. Your sister is. And then I realized, like, I didn't sign up for this. Even if it wasn't my mom who wants to do it, my older sister should be in line. Just by...
I'm second.
Yes, I'm like, here. I'm the last hope. I should not even be in line. I should be around the corner for like a Beyonce ticket. So I'm just like, why am I here? And my sisters was like, you're doing such a good job. I'm like,
now, did they ever jump in at any point?
And see, what I can say is my older sister, she's like real. She will let you know I'm protecting my space. I'm protecting my energy. And I'm not messing with your foolishness. So I will hold her door. And I'm like, hold a door.
This is what I got for y'all.
Yeah, that's all you
get. Leave it.
And I'm going to give you some chicken afterwards.
Now, how old? Now, what's the difference between you and your
We're
sister?
all 3 years apart.
Oh, really?
Yes, my mom and dad, they was loving it. Consistency. Keith and Gail are consistent.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's, I did not get the process that, you know, you were talking about, like what we would normally think, like, oh, through, you know, the lineage or the passing down of the torch, or I didn't know my grandmother's recipes. My little sister knows her recipes.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't even have the potato salad recipe. How am I supposed to do this? So it's just been, you know, very, very hard.
Okay.
Because it's like, I shouldn't have it. I don't deserve it because I don't even know my family. And I don't want it.
That's the truth. That's the part. That part, right?
Yeah,
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
How do you feel when you say it out loud? Do you feel like, oh, I shouldn't say this out loud? Or do you just be like, you know what? No, I'm saying my truth. I don't want this.
At first, I felt bad. Like, I realized something had changed at her funeral. And then when we had deaths of other family members the next year, so last year we literally had 2 family members pass. And then I had a death of my sons and all that. So I had 5 deaths, like, in a row. And it was just like, dang, you know? And I found myself there. And I was, like, in my head with my husband, like, screaming, I don't want to do this. And he could feel it. He could. And then we got in the car. He said, say it. And I was like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for cars for my uncles. I'm looking for cars. I'm doing this. I'm like, I have not seen these men in years. Like, I'm talking about, I have a 15-year-old son, and they don't even know what my children look like. So I'm looking for their cars. I'm looking for, and my husband's like, you can do it. God put you here for a reason. But you can say you don't want to do it. He was like, all right, put your heels on. We're going to do it.
So when you shared your story, because a friend of mine, she actually, and I had never even thought about it. the word matriarch hadn't even been in my preview, like, at all, right? And so we were talking one day, and she was like, Tamekia, you're the matriarch now. And I was like, what? Huh? Girl, what? I said, no, I'm not. And she was like, oh, yes, you are. No, I'm not. Why are you going back and forth with me on this?
I know my truth.
Yeah. And so the more and more we talked, and she was just like, you kind of always have done certain things. But she was like, and now that your mom physically isn't here, and then, you know, like the grandma, she was like, you are it. And so I had to really sit and think about it. And to be quite honest with you, I'm still thinking about it, okay? And like my mom has physically transitioned in 4 years. So let me back up some. Because when my grandmother, which my mom's mom, when she passed, my mom, so let me back up some more because it's, I hope I got the numbers right. 3 sisters, so I have 3 aunts, and then 3 uncles, right?
Okay.
When my grandma passed, I believe my mom took on the matriarch role, even though the word was never ever used, right? And here's why I say that. It's because my mom was the one that would get people together. She was the one that people gravitated to. She was like the favorite aunt, you know, like I have cousins that will reach into me like, man, your mom, like, okay, listen, it's my podcast, so I'm gonna be truthful. So any cousins or uncles, aunties that hear this, I love y'all. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I have like cousins that will reach in like, your mom would give me stuff that my mom is not even capable of giving, right? And so I would just listen because, again, that's my mama. And some stuff you feel like you don't really realize it. Yeah. And I don't know if I took it for granted, but you don't realize it till you hear other people and you be like, wait, your mama ain't like that? Like, what you mean? Yeah. And so just hearing things, I'm like, my mom was the matriarch after grandma, but we never really used the word. And I think my mom was so, she would have never ever said, I'm the matriarch, right? Yeah. Just because of the humbleness and just her mild demeanor. She would have never just used that word. But when I sit back and think, I'm like, she did take on that role. Because she was the person that others just gravitated to, would call, ask questions. Can you make this? You know, just certain things. Or just simply call and talk, to be quite honest with you. You know, and I'm like, that's beautiful. Oh. So now that my mom has physically transitioned, and again, like, I'm not the oldest, but I'm the oldest girl. Yeah. And so sometimes, like, my brother, who's older than me, he be like, big sis. And I'll be like, bruh. You know, I'm 5 years younger, right? And so when I sit back and think, it's because of how he sees me, right?
It's changed.
And I'm like, to sit in it, it's like, I'm humbled on one end, but on the other end, it's like, I don't want this. Because it's like, nobody gives you a pamphlet. Nobody says what it's really supposed to be. And all the things that's supposed to come with it, right? And so I'm still sitting in it and I'm still processing some things because it's like, again, what do we see it as a matriarch? I view a matriarch as somebody that's older, somebody that has children. I don't have children, not biologically. Somebody that's married. Like, I don't fit any of these descriptions that I think previously how I looked at a matriarch. But now as I've been growing, I probably have some other descriptive words that describes a matriarch, which, you know, as it relates to having the comparison of now and then is very different now. Yeah. Right?
I think we're redefining it. And because I literally was just talking to a younger couple who just had their second child like last week. And we were talking about family dynamics, and one of the young man was talking about how once his grandmother died, everyone moved out of her home. There's no one to bring the family together. And then he looked at his wife. And she was like, I guess I do that. And I was like, oh, baby, you have become like the matriarch of his family because no one has stepped up to do it. And I realized that, like, then I sat back and I looked at my family. I'm like, oh, we have two. I have an aunt who everybody goes to, but then it's me who manages the business. Like, I am the one, like, get it together. Come over here. Let's do this, do this, do this. I'll take care of the family in this sector. You take care of the family that's in that sector. We will talk. And I realized, like, this new definition of just one queen who has to do all of these things no longer exists.
No.
Because our family dynamics are so different. And it's so much trauma and wounds, but yet healing that needs to be, to be done that is different. So, like, for me, I'm opening my doors every Thanksgiving. I open my doors every Christmas. New Year's is when we party. Like, it goes down. So you want to come, you come. You going to stay the night because you ain't going to make it out.
Right.
But, but that's what I do. But I'm also, like, very business oriented. Like, you're not going to call me and ask me for money. Because you call me ask for money. I'm giving it to you as a gift. But it ain't, don't ask again.
Yeah.
Because you getting it.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you back for it. But don't ask anymore. And then I have an aunt that will feed everybody. She's like, come in. The hungry, the poor. Everybody, and that's her role, and that's wonderful. But I'm just not made that way. So I feel like they know when to use me, and she and I talk. So it's like we share this thing because that's what's needed for our family. Now, will I ever know my cousins intimately like she knows them? No. Like, I really don't. But I know my uncles. I know my uncle's cousins. I know the people that are getting older that will need me. And she can take care of the youngins and whatever that's going on with them because I got no time. But if there's an older person that needs to move from one place to another, I've been there. If someone's at the hospital, I'm there. So that's my role. And then I'm praying. I'm anointing. That's my role. So I feel like the dynamics of a matriarch is so different now.
Absolutely. I agree. I guess I'm really trying to process accepting. But when my mom transitioned, it was just like, no. I don't know how much longer God is going to allow me to be here. And if I could do anything, it really made me think, like, in a humble way, when I say this, it's like, you've always been a game changer. You've always done things differently. You've always managed your family. You've always been the person, right? And to say it out loud, this is like, it's just kind of weird to talk about yourself and accept some things that you've done. But this is like, oh, wait, I have always been this person. And even moving forward, it's like, I'm 44 now, and I hope I got a lot of more years left. And as I live them, I want to be a game changer for who's behind me, right? And so it's just like, you've always done this. I was just telling somebody the other day, I can remember being 12, 13 years old, in like the 7th or 8th grade, saying, because I was raised in a co-parenting family, and then I was raised in the projects, and then just seeing certain things, right? Like, to be honest, like, I was supposed to be, back in the time, we would use the term statistic, right? I have a different version of that now because everybody take different paths.
Exactly.
But I can remember saying, I'm not going to be the teenage mom. I'm not going to be the person with a whole bunch of baby daddies. I'm not going to be in the projects. I'm not going to do this. And so I have sisters that are under me. And so I did a lot of sacrificing, I think, to make sure they didn't take that path, right? And so it's like, you've always done certain things as relates to putting other people before you. And I think in a nutshell, I kind of do it now. It's just differently, meaning like setting boundaries up, but making sure people still have what they need in order to move forward. Yeah. So it's just like, I guess those are the things that Matriarch do, but I'm still struggling with the title.
I think that it's okay for, like, I really believe, you know, as we've talked in the past, that our character has gleaned us the ability and the strength to be in the role. I think it's wonderful that we just redefine the term. Okay. And I think that it's okay for us to do that. Because I, too, you know, and I know that you probably felt the wrath when I said, Matriarch, you know, I was like...
I did. That's why I was just like, oh, she understands me.
I'm like, how dare you? But it's like, as I've been thinking through things, and, you know, I went to a brunch with my mom, my sister, both of my sisters, both of my nieces, and seeing these generations at the table, we all looked at each other and was like, we're glad that mom could make it. So there's still this need for that, right? But what I can give, it's different. It's different. Like, you talked about being very intentional with how you mentored and showed behavior so that people behind you made good decisions. I think that's why we're in this role, because we're not thinking of self. And I literally just had this conversation with my niece, because I'm not saying she's selfish. I think she says, I give you this, and if you don't do your part in that, that's on you, G, because I got to do what I got to do. And I think there's a place for that. And I think it's wonderful that she has those boundaries, because I didn't have that at her age. Okay. But I also think that there has to be someone, and it doesn't mean her, because I really need her to be a boss like she is. But there needs to be someone that's a little bit more tenderhearted. Yes. That knows that I haven't heard from cousin Tamekia. I'm going to call her. Like, I have a cousin who lost her husband to COVID. She's 30. She's in her 30s with 2 kids. I intentionally call her. I intentionally text her. Because it's like, she's in California. At no point do I want her to think she's forgotten. You are not forgotten. And us as women, how many times do we ask for help? But if I call you, at some point you're going to trust. And you ask for help. And that means that people like us that have that foresight are meant to be in these roles. Now, do we want to be? Like, do I think my time is too early? Yes. I think your time is too early, you know? And, you know, your mom, you lost somebody so dear, you know? But I also think that we were created for this. But we get to redefine it. And for me, I'm redefining what I saw. And maybe you can add some love to what you saw.
I agree. But, like, okay, so to your point, right? Because I think even in taking on this role, we are the people that people reach into, right? Now, I don't know about you. And I feel like I do have people I can reach in and out to. Yeah. I find it hard.
Oh, for sure.
I find it hard sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you even find a balance in that, right? Because it's just like, well, I'm the person that people reach into or get advice from. And I guess it's just like creating that support, because sometimes it's just like, I'm dealing with this. And sometimes, you know, it's like, I don't want to reach out to Wendy or this person or that person, because I know they're dealing with their own stuff, right? Like, I literally just had, my last 3 or 4 weeks has been blown completely out, right? But I'm still walking around here with a smile like, hey, girl.
You got glitter, just glitter. I would not have known by the smile, the glitter that you was giving.
It's just like, yes. How do I still, like, just kind of show up? Because at the end of the day, like, I still have to show up for, I oversee a program in my sorority for young people, right? So it's like, I still have to show up for them, because for me, I want to give them stuff that I didn't have as a teenager, but just things that we should be talking about in general, right? But then it's like, okay, now how do I show up for this part. And I didn't realize that I was an empath about 3 years ago. I was like, what's that? Cause I'm tired of it.
Wow.
Somebody tell me.
You're just now realizing that.
Yes.
Well, that's funny.
So it makes it really hard because now I just be like, hold on.
Yeah. It's a lot coming in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just like finding the balance, right? Yeah. Which I think is why I'm having a hard time. Like,
I do too.
I don't want that because it means so much. I take it on. It's just like, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I've given so much of my life in the early parts. Now I'm just like, hey,
I don't got no mind.
It's about me.
Yeah.
Even in me saying that, I realized that I say it, but I'm still creating a path. Yeah. Like it's in my DNA.
You can't shake it.
Like I understand like things that I'm doing, especially when I get things in this perspective places. Like my nieces, my nephews, like I want to set them up to where they ain't never really got to worry about anything, but also grooming them.
Yeah.
If you want to go to college, cool. Listen, I'm not dismissing college. Yeah. Okay, I'm not doing that. But I think in our community, when I say our community, I mean the black community, we never have a plan. We don't have a plan. Our kids turn 18. Yeah. And we still don't have a plan other than you grown, you go out there and you figure it out. Yeah. When other cultures are grooming their kids from a very young age. Facts. College is literally just the option. You do it for fun. You go out there if whatever, right? Yeah. And most of them ain't even taking out loans. Yep. They do it just to have it, but most of them are understanding the family business and X, Y, Z and everything else, right? So for me, it's just like, I want to get them there. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that's my whole goal. Yeah. When I leave this earth, I want them to be like, oh, my rich auntie. The rich auntie. Yes. My aunt Meek. You know, and it's just like, she taught me this, or she did this.
I'm trying to be that rich auntie.
You know? I want that to be my footprint. I'm like, I've always been this person. Yeah.
I feel like I want the same, but I no longer am giving myself putting that pressure on me anymore. Like, one of the best things that happened to me, I don't know, my years mess up. Thanks, COVID. But my niece who graduated she started grad school, and she spent a half a year living with us. And she and I had many glasses of wine and good talks. And I realized that what I want for our family, they want for themselves. And I don't have to work as hard. And I think that hard mentality of pushing our family through is what we've seen. When really they are more elevated than we were. So the push doesn't have to be as hard. Yeah. It's more so us creating experiences.
I agree.
So now I don't feel so stressed. Okay. I'm going to be the rich aunt. You going to be the rich aunt. Right? And we said it. It is what it is, right? But what we do know is that the things that we had to work, that people probably had to worry about for us, we don't have to worry about for them. What I think we need to be more aware of is the spiritual warfare that we need to be around.
Absolutely.
And like, I remember my grandmother and her sisters like literally surrounding us and praying over us. We ain't doing that. We just like, I'm glad you're doing good, baby. I'm praying. Hallelujah. I'm praying for you. All right. Yeah. Jesus is real. I'm going to go get another client. I no longer want to do that. Yeah. So I think that what our perspective should be a little bit different, but knowing that our battles are different. So when I talk about redefining this matriarch, really standing in who we are and our gifts, right? And knowing that, we don't like what was in the past in regards maybe to the title or the name, or maybe not even feeling me. So I feel like we don't feel like we are skilled enough or have the ability or the knowledge enough to be in that role. But we do. We do.
Yeah, I guess we. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I think I just still struggle with. I can really sit here and accept like I'll do A, B, and C and da da da. But when you put a title to it, maybe I have a problem committing to titles.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I'm not gonna ask you to marry me because you don't want the title. But I do think that titles can shake you. For me, when I hear that, I have all these things. Now, do I feel like I had the best experience with my grandmother? No, but I do know that woman was a spiritual warrior. Mm-hmm. Do I think spiritually I'm anywhere in the ballpark of that woman? No, I am for sure that she prayed for me even though we didn't talk. I know she did.
Okay.
I know she prayed for my prosperity. I know she prayed for my health. I know she prayed because there were many times that I was like, I don't know how this happened. Because I wasn't praying.
I think for me, I still just have to process.
And
And to be quite honest with you, like I said, like, my mom has physically... 4 years is still very early, right? Like, that's still very early.
That's fresh.
And then, like, my granny... So, my mom transitioned in 2019, and my granny transitioned in 2018, which is my dad's mom. And then, it was... I was just like... God, take me now. Like, what else do you want from me, man? Like, what? What do you want from me? It was. And then my mom's mom, she transitioned in 2008. And here's the significance in that. And when I say that, I mean like the difference. My mom's mom, she had Alzheimer's. I think I can remember as early as I graduated in 2001. I'm going to say 2001, 2002 was like the onset of it.
Yeah.
And then it progressed. So I literally watched her revert back into not being able to do things for herself and not remember stuff, right?
Okay.
And there were sometimes, like, she can remember, like, I think she remember all of her grandkids' voices.
Yeah.
Like, but she can remember, like, how to feed herself. Like, my aunt literally took care of her, how to feed her. Uh-huh. So I literally watched the digression of her, right? And so when she passed, I didn't feel a certain way. It was just like, oh, she lived to be 80-something. She good.
Yeah, we did good.
I didn't cry. Yeah. I didn't feel like, I felt like she has been released from this, right? Yeah. But what I didn't realize is that the pain that my mom and her siblings had went through in losing their mother, because they never talked about it. And I didn't realize it till I lost my mother. I'm like, this is how my mama felt, and she never talked about it, right?
Oh man.
And so in that, it's just like, just still processing, like, okay, this is where I'm at. But because people didn't talk about certain things before me, it's like, I want to create, I don't know if it's a pamphlet, dialogue, and even this podcast. Yeah. I want to create something so people will know going forward, like, oh, it's normal for me to feel this way. Or, oh, okay. I heard Wende and Tamekia talking about becoming a matriarch. They got two very different stories, but it's normal for me to feel this way.
Yes.
You know, like, it's okay for me. Like, I don't want this. How this happen? Right?
Where was the vote? Where is the board?
That part, because it's just like giving. I read an article, and I was just like, who wrote this article? So, it was like, I just got a little snippet of the article. It says, becoming your family's, let me move this over here, because it's the glare. It says, becoming your family's matriarch doesn't happen by accident. It's not a job that is passed down to you. You don't just grow into it. If you want to be your family's matriarch, the woman who leads them, who keeps them close, who everyone turns to for direction, then at some point you have to decide that you're going to be that woman. And so in this, I was like, where are the that's a whole... What do you mean it doesn't happen by accident, or it's not passed down to you? Because
I felt like my experience, I feel like it should have been like my grandmother's mother Grandma Mary. My grandmother is not the oldest. I think she's the baby.
Okay.
So it's not by age. So it does align with that.
But then, like, I just have so many problems with it, or you don't grow into it, right? Like, what does any of this even mean? Because I feel like, I'm like, everybody's experience is different. For me, it's like, let's go back to how we said we were as it relates to growing up, right?
Yeah.
I've always, if I have to think about it, I've always been growing into this.
You have. They've been cultivating it.
Yes.
But
it
also
just hasn't been talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
And also,
and even
like,
to pass down, maybe not necessarily. You're definitely appointed.
Yeah, you are appointed. Because I do say this. I feel like if the others in your family don't address that that's your role, you can be up here big mouthing I'm matriarch, or everybody coming to my house on so-and-so. Because I'm going to tell you, we just had a thing where we changed up our holiday. Because I was like, I'm not doing it. Because I didn't want to be the matriarch. Because I got my new hair. Hello. And we had a different, unique experience. I realized that it's not going to happen again. It will always be at my house.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew, like, I am going to do this. It's going to be at my house, and you will come and you go bring this and you go bring this because you know you can't make the potato salad.
You know what? Why people be saying that potato salad can't cook it?
Girl, that makes me talk. That's a whole different pot.
I know it is a different podcast, right?
Yellow potato salad, white potato.
I'm just saying. I got an aunt that always want to make potato. And girl, you don't even like mayonnaise. Stop trying to make the potato salad. That is a different podcast.
But I am saying.
We're going to talk about it.
I need you to stay in your lane. Bring some biscuits.
We're going to talk about it. So, real quick, before we get ready to close out.
Yeah.
So, I came up with the 30-year difference comparison, right? I got a few words. I'm going to ask you to give about 5 to 6 different words, and then I'm going to share mine. And they might mirror each other. I don't know. But let's do it.
We're going to try. We're going to work this out. I don't know if my brain working. Let's work.
You want me to go first?
Please do.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first. Okay, so I think the huge difference is we are now putting ourselves first. We are now setting boundaries. Because when I sit back and think, I'm like, y'all just let people run over. Like, my new saying now is, I am not my grandmother. I am not my mama. I have what they have put in me, but I'm not neither one of them. Let's be clear about that, okay?
Yes.
And it took me a while. I did a lot of work to set boundaries. I did a lot of work to put self first. You know? Changing the family dynamics. And when I say that, I mean, like, we're being more transparent. Which goes back to the boundaries.
Yeah.
We are more equipped with telling the truth to a person. Versus before, at least in my experience, I feel like a lot was just accepted and moved on or swept under the rug.
Okay, I agree. Yeah.
Breaking generational curses. And I said becoming more transparent. And I'm going to say being more involved with financials. Those are the 5 or 6 that I have as it relates to the difference from the 2023 to, let's do 30 years, to 1993, right?
Okay. I would say there is more, so I want to lean more into the boundaries, but the acceptance of how people will treat you. So for me, there's so much colorism in my family. And also based off of your financial contribution or where you look like, gave you status in my family. So what, I really am like trying to do is share with everybody that everybody has a role and a place.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't equate to what you look like or what you have in your pocket. It's more about the gift God gave you.
I love that.
So that's what I feel like that's the difference. I also feel like one of the things you said was changing family dynamics. For my maternal family, the males were loved, and the female, which was my mother, was abused. And the abuse of women was okay. And my uncles have told me that. And because my family comes from pimps. Detroit. But what I want to do is make sure that the family dynamics understands that the caring of the woman doesn't mean the weakness of the woman. And because we are just as strong and we give a different dynamic to the family. So just really honoring people and not really labeling roles. And I think that's what is different. But also, like, the last thing that I would say more so, and I know I keep coming back to this, is the spiritual growth of the family. The spiritual foundation that our ancestors have given us, our grandmothers or whatever, we just need to elevate that to the next level.
Okay.
It just needs to be, because what they were fighting is totally different than what we're fighting. And it looks different.
Absolutely.
Right? It looks really, really different. So we have to do this. And I think the last thing is empowering. Empowering. So you talked about being very transparent. I really tell people don't use that word, because transparent comes with being purposeful, planned, and progressive. I say be more aware of what you're going to say, plan it, be progressively having conversations, and be purposeful about what you're saying.
Okay.
And that's how we break generational curses. That's how we talk about things that we've been sweeping under the rug, like how granddaddy got 35 kids and all of them different mamas. But hey, hi cousin, hi auntie. We need to start talking about that. Like, why didn't I grow up with my cousins? Why can't we talk about that? So just planning those conversations, being purposeful, and don't just let it be one.
Okay.
Have those progressive, because that's how we heal. That's how we break generational curses, right? And in addition to that, that's how we talk about these financial areas, how we grow our families, have generational financial wealth, how we have continued education for our families, how we bind all those curses of having children out of wedlock, our abuse of our family, our sexual abuse within our families. That's how we have those things. So for me, I need that to be at the top of my list of what makes me different as a matriarch.
I love all of that.
I love you.
All right, so as we close,
yes,
I think I said earlier what kind of hit on what a matriarch is not. Do you want to go or do you want me to go? Because I have a few things. And I guess it's really just the image of me, to be quite honest with you, when I say what a matriarch is not. And for me, it's like a matriarch now.
As we learned today.
2023. Matriarch is not a woman with children. A matriarch is not an old woman with gray hair. A matriarch is not a woman that is married. And I'm gonna say this because I have really been working on. Ooh, you a strong person. You a strong woman.
I'm so glad
A matriarch is not a woman that is strong.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that out there. Because that word has really, before it's like, oh, okay, I'm strong, stand the other. You know how much pressure that puts on a person?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That puts a lot of pressure on the person, and it leaves you to being like, I have to be Superwoman. I don't want to be Superwoman no more. Exactly. I don't want to do it. It's not a badge of honor. I just don't want to do that.
Exactly. And then you diminish the effectiveness of being weak and asking for help.
Yes!
And that's what I listen. Yes! If I could throw roses at you right
yes. No, we have to stop that because it doesn't leave any room, like you said, asking for help, being able to cry, or just being able to be.
Yes, be.
You know, this is like, nah, I'm strong because I have learned to plug in. I don't want to use the word strong. I plug in. I get my energy from plugging into people. And those people, I only plug in for so long because then they got to plug into somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then we all just have to share. But I've also learned to be like, no, you can't get that from me.
Yeah.
I've given you what I can give. Now it's time for you to. Now, if you're a kid, something different. But if you're grown up,
it's a different type of vibe. It's a different type of vibe. It's a different type of vibe.
And you better hurry up.
Yeah. But I do say one thing you talked about is like, plugging into people. And what I am realizing as a matriarch, and I take this from one of my sorors, she just spit knowledge and like it shook my whole world. You gonna get my overflow. You're not gonna get from my cup. When she said it shook my world.
Say it again.
You gonna get my overflow. You right there. You not gonna take from my cup. And I had to realize, like when she said that, I was like, that's the truth. And everybody's like, oh, that's boundaries. No. Boundaries means I will allow you to treat me this way. We all need that.
Yeah.
We all need that. But when we're giving, and especially for your gift is like tremendous, right? For you to be an empath and being able to connect, and they better get from what's coming over. Don't you be pouring and pouring and pouring. Because then you're going to look. That's all the wine I got. You know what I'm saying? That's it. No, you're going to get what's poured and over. And it's just as good what's inside.
Absolutely.
And as I move into this, I'm not going to be that matriarch. Because I think the ones that we saw was just pouring. Absolutely. And then what they did at the end of the day, on their knees with the holy oil, praying, God give me strength, God give me strength. No, he didn't ask you to get to pouring and pouring and pouring. No, I'm not asking God for strength. I'm asking him for wisdom. That's the difference, prayer.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to get my overflow, baby. You're going to get my overflow. I think that a matriarch is not Big Mama. Stop looking for me to be cooking and whatnot. We're going to go to a good old restaurant.
Yeah!
I didn't have enough.
Oh my goodness.
I had enough. I'm going to cook on the days that I want to cook. But other than that, child, you want coffee? Starbies? You can go to Starbies.
I got some potato chips.
Right? Child, that's all you getting.
I don't ask for nothing else. And here's the other thing, like for me is like, so what I shared this in other episodes is that when my mom transitioned, I don't know if you were in Ohio at the time, but Dayton had a tornado. Oh. So my mom, when she literally transitioned, Dayton had a whole tornado, and so her apartment, her whole area, like, just gone, right? God. So when I tell you that town was just like, take me now. I don't know why the hell why am I here? Why am I here? And so they wasn't letting people in to those places, right? So we eventually end up getting in there, and then my aunt ended up finding my mom's recipe journal, right? Because like I can cook for the most part. I don't like to, but I can. Yeah. But following her steps is like, all right, well, you want banana pudding or you want this. I'm about to follow mom's steps, right? And so for me, it's just like, don't ask me. But it may be a special occasion. Because if it takes longer than 15 minutes, if I can't put it in that oven and bake it,
Child.
clean it off and bake it and then cook on its
Child.
own, I ain't doing it. I'm good with getting some snacks.
Let's
I
get some
want,
snacks.
I want to cook.
What is it, charcuterie board? You're going to get a charcuterie board, baby.
And having a whole bunch of people over my house, in my head, I love family gatherings, but I'm also thinking, who cleaned it?
See, don't nobody think... that part. That part.
I'm already asking, who cleaning?
That part.
Because I don't want to do it.
And you sleeping over. There's towels, washcloths. Some of y'all didn't take a bath before you got here, and I know it, but I'm going to let it pass.
So when I say we are very different, we are
air grab. Air grab.
We are very different.
Yes.
It's like,
I'm not made that way. And when I do open my home, you better come. You better come, child. And if you don't think your children are going to get corrected in my home, you lost your mind. Because we are not putting feet on couches. That's what we are doing from the from Matriarch. No feet on my couch, children. And I'm done.
So I just want to say, as we talk about this, as we close, truth is, becoming the matriarch is truly your story. There is no right, there is no wrong.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out, and you have to sit in it. You have to put the pieces together to really figure out, because it don't come with no pamphlet, okay?
Yeah.
We've never talked about this.
Facts.
But becoming the matriarch is truly just what your story is, and your experiences, and then you put it all together. Now, like I said, I'm still struggling with the title, but I do understand that at the end of the day, like, this is part of my birthright. Yeah. And I want to be able to smile and sit in it, because I know, like, everyone that is around me will literally, they would just be like, you know, like, they would just cheer me on. It's just like, okay, y'all, okay, cool, but it's just a title thing. Yeah. You know, I think that might just be my thing. I might have an issue with titles.
Well, at the end of the day, you wear it well.
Oh, thank you. You do too. All right, as we close, we do ask all of our guests to give our audience an affirmation that they can deposit into their affirmation journal as they continue life. So if you can give our audience an affirmation that comes to mind as we get ready to close out.
I would say, an affirmation I say is, let everyone and everything that I come into contact with be for my prosperity. Shout out to Nolan Ward.
Alright, so we are going to thank Unique Naturally Made for our cups today. This says growth is dope, which it really is. They are one of our sponsors. Thank you for joining Happy Hour Conversations, where we talk about becoming the matriarch. I am Tamekia.
And I'm Wende.
And we will see you later.
Deuces.
Thank you for joining the Happy Hour Conversations podcast, where we discuss heavy, emotional, and raw conversations sprinkled with laughter. Be sure to follow us on IG at Happy Hour Conversations Podcast, and also subscribe to the podcast to stay tuned to our weekly Happy Hour Conversations. I am your girl, Tamekia, our moon, and I'll see you next week.